The lighthouse keeper's daughter. On the rugged cliffs of the northern coast, where the land met the wild and restless sea, stood an old lighthouse. Its beacon cut through the thick fog on stormy nights, guiding lost ships safely to shore. The lighthouse keeper, Henry, lived there with his daughter, Evelyn, a free-spirited young woman who found comfort in the rhythm of the waves and the quiet isolation of their life by the sea. Evelyn had grown up with the sound of the ocean always in her ears, the salty breeze forever in her hair. She would often wander the cliffs, her thoughts as endless as the horizon, dreaming of far-off places and people she might never meet. Though the sea had always been her companion, a part of her longed for something more. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in brilliant hues of orange and gold, Evelyn saw a ship struggling against the rough waves, fighting to reach the safety of the shore. The storm that had swept in that afternoon had grown fierce, and she worried the ship might not make it. Her father was already at the top of the lighthouse, ensuring the beacon shone its brightest. Suddenly, there was a loud crash. The ship had been thrown against the rocks, and Evelyn's heart raced. Without hesitation, she ran down to the shoreline, hoping to help whoever had survived. As she reached the beach, she spotted a lone figure struggling in the water, trying to swim to safety. With a strength she hadn't known she possessed, Evelyn waded into the churning sea and pulled the man ashore. He was unconscious, but alive. Evelyn's heart pounded as she checked for breath, relief washing over her when she found it. Hours later, the man woke in the small, warm confines of the lighthouse, wrapped in blankets and with a fire crackling nearby. His name was Thomas, a sailor who had been caught in the storm while transporting goods up the coast. As his eyes fluttered open, the first thing he saw was Evelyn sitting beside him, her expression a mixture of concern and curiosity. "You saved my life," he said hoarsely, his voice rough from the salt water and exhaustion. Evelyn smiled faintly. "The sea nearly claimed you, but you're safe now." Over the next few days, as Thomas recovered, he and Evelyn spent more time together. He was different from anyone she had ever met, adventurous, full of stories from his travels, and with a warmth that seemed to melt the coldness of the storm that had brought him there. They walked along the cliffs, talking about everything and nothing, their connection deepening with every passing day. As the days turned into weeks, it became clear to both of them that their bond was something more than friendship. It was as if the sea, in all its wildness, had brought them together for a reason. Thomas spoke of returning to the sea, as it was the only life he knew, but he couldn't ignore the pull he felt toward Evelyn, just as strong as the pull of the ocean. "I've always been drawn to the sea," he said one evening, as they stood on the cliffs, watching the waves crash below. "But now I find myself drawn to you." Evelyn's heart ached at the thought of him leaving, but she knew that just like the ocean, love could not be forced to stay. "And I to you," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the wind. "But I cannot ask you to give up the life you've known." Thomas turned to her, taking her hands in his. "I would sail the world 1,000 times if it meant finding my way back to you. The sea will always be a part of me, but I want to be here with you." The storm that had brought Thomas into her life had subsided, but the storm in their hearts raged on, fierce and undeniable. And just like the lighthouse beacon that had guided him to safety, their love became a light in the darkness, something to hold on to no matter how rough the seas might get. In the end, Thomas stayed. He found a new life in the old lighthouse, helping Henry with the duties and making a home with Evelyn by the cliffs. And though the ocean still called to him from time to time, it was Evelyn's laughter, her warmth, and the love they had found together that had anchored him in place. The lighthouse, once a lonely outpost on the edge of the world, became a symbol of love, steadfast, enduring, and as timeless as the sea itself.